Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to learn what is the difference between shared hosting, VPS hosting, dedicated hosting, cloud hosting, and WordPress managed hosting. So let's start with shared hosting. So whenever you buy any hosting plan, you are basically renting the resource and server space of a computer server. A computer server is basically like your computer desktop or laptop, but it is designed specifically to host website and serve content. So a hosting server is much more efficient than your desktop or laptop at hosting a website. And there are many other reasons also to not use your personal computer for hosting your website. In shared hosting, all control and information is with the hosting company. They decide how much websites they want to host on a single server. So depending on the hosting companies and the price at which they are selling their plans, they will decide how much websites they want to host on a single server. And as the name suggests, all the resource of that server will be shared among all the websites that is hosted on the same server. So some companies will say they want to host 50 websites on that same server. So the server may be able to handle 50 websites during non-peak hours when there is not much resource intensive task going on. But during peak hours, the server will crash or it will slow down a lot. So this is why it is advised to not go with the web hosting company which is offering you the cheapest plan, because for cheap price you will have to make some compromises in terms of speed, uptime, and security. As I explained, if all websites hosted on the same server are consuming too much resources, so the speed of all websites will be affected. And unfortunately, if some websites on that server are consuming too much resources and causes the server to crash, so that will affect the uptime of your website. With shared hosting, as I explained, the complete responsibility of the main server security is with the hosting company. So if they do not apply the security policies or security patches, or if there was some bug or vulnerability, and one of the website on the server is using pirated theme or plugin and gets hacked, so the hacker can also get access to other websites hosted on that same server. It is not rare incident. It happens a lot of times and can happen because of bad security policies. And sometimes hackers also sign up as a normal user on shared hosting and then they will use the vulnerability to get access to all other accounts. And a lot of times they will just hack your website, leave a backdoor, and can use your website for malicious activities. So with a good hosting company, the possibility of something like this happening is less, but it can happen. And this is why shared hosting have a greater risk. Now let's talk about VPS. Just like you can install virtual PCs on your main desktop or laptop, similarly VPS are virtually isolated server and they will have dedicated resources. So whenever you buy a VPS, let's say you buy a VPS from DigitalOcean, so you will see that they are offering 1 GB of dedicated guaranteed RAM. So just like you install a virtual PC on your desktop or laptop, you will reserve a dedicated RAM whenever that virtual instance is running. So unlike shared hosting where you do not have dedicated or guaranteed RAM or resource, with VPS you will get guaranteed resource that is reserved just for you. So remember, whenever you buy a shared hosting plan and you see the plan has 2 GB RAM or 1 GB RAM or whatever, it is not guaranteed or dedicated only for your website. It is shared among all the websites that is hosted on that server. With VPS, whatever you buy is completely reserved for only for your server, and you can decide how much websites you want to host on that VPS. There are two type of VPS, unmanaged and managed. The difference between managed and unmanaged VPS is just like your computer. If you buy a computer without any program or operating system installed, so you are responsible for installing the operating system, all the required programs. So for a web server, you will have to install a Linux operating system and then programs like Apache, MySQL database, and other programs that are required to make it a web server and host website. So you need to have technical knowledge and expertise to manage unmanaged VPS. And personally, I would not suggest you to use a unmanaged VPS because you will save few bucks compared to the managed VPS plan, but you will end up spending a lot more time just managing a server, which you can use to grow your business or do something more productive than managing your server. and still you will not be able to manage it properly unless you have the technical knowledge, because there will be some security vulnerability or patches that you don't know how to apply, or you have to keep your server updated all the time, and it's just too time consuming. I personally also don't use a unmanaged VPS to host my website, because I can use that time to create content, do research, or something productive. With managed VPS, you can pay extra fees to the hosting company, or there are solutions like Cloudways where it is semi-managed. What they will do is install all the necessary operating system, programs, and everything that is required to host your website. And just like shared hosting, you can simply install WordPress or whatever application you want to use, and your website will be ready. Your hosting company will be responsible for installing all the updates, security patches, and basically managing the server. So you can also contact them for support. With unmanaged VPS, you are on your own. So if you want to troubleshoot anything, you will have to Google how to do it. With managed VPS, you can contact the support team of your hosting company to take care of any server related issue for which they are responsible and they are getting paid. Now let's talk about dedicated hosting. With dedicated hosting, you get a complete server only for yourself. You can decide how many websites you want to host. It's very similar to VPS, but instead of just being isolated virtually, a dedicated hosting server is completely dedicated only for your website, how many websites you want to host, and it is isolated on a hardware level. And just like VPS, there are two types of dedicated hosting, managed and unmanaged. Basically, everything works like VPS. Now let's talk about cloud hosting. So cloud hosting also has category like shared cloud hosting, VPS cloud hosting, and dedicated cloud hosting. So a normal hosting is a server located in a data center. With cloud hosting, the computer servers are located across multiple data centers. So they offer better redundancy, reliability, and things like that. That's the only difference. So a shared cloud hosting or shared VPS hosting is the same as a normal shared or VPS hosting. For cloud hosting, your hosting company could be using better hardware infrastructure. So that could explain the difference in terms of hosting performance. Usually cloud hosting performance is better than the normal hosting performance. And the same is also reflected in the difference in price of the normal hosting plan and cloud hosting plans. Now let's talk about what is WordPress managed hosting. So this is not a standard hosting that is same across all hosting companies. Some hosting companies will basically replace the control panel or completely remove the normal control panel, and they will offer you a one-click WordPress installation. So you just buy their WordPress managed plan and you will get a WordPress hosting. Usually the difference between managed WordPress hosting and shared hosting is the hosting company will dedicate more resource to the WordPress hosting plan, and it is a little expensive than the shared hosting plan. Now there are also some companies who only offer WordPress managed hosting. So they are offering like a VPS solution and their servers are specifically optimized only for WordPress. Now let's talk about which hosting plan would be suitable for you. So if you're just starting out and have a low budget, go start with a shared hosting. That will be good for you in the starting. But once you start growing, you start getting more traffic or you are making good money for the VPS plan, then I would recommend you to go with the managed VPS solution. Or you are just starting out and have budget for a VPS hosting, then also I would recommend you to go with the managed VPS hosting, because the speed, performance, the uptime, and the security will be much better with a managed VPS compared to a shared hosting. And if you're already using a VPS hosting solution, still the resources are not enough. So you can upgrade to a dedicated hosting. You would know when to upgrade to a dedicated hosting. And WordPress managed hosting plans are different for each company. So you will have to check the specific plan from the hosting company, and based on that, you will have to decide if you need that plan. So that's it guys for this video. My camera battery is also running out. So I will end this video here. Please leave your feedback in the comments, and I hope you found this video information useful.